I'm Kathy Fox Alfano, and welcome to Upper Cape Spotlight Conversations with Kathy. Today, my guest is Mavis Robinson. Mavis is the president of the Bourne Historical Society, and we just worked together on a show called Rip Van Winkle. It was this weekend. It was a lot of fun. It was packed, and we learned so much. It was a great time. Mavis, welcome.
Thank you, Kathy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. How did you enjoy being in a show?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we have to, if we're going to talk, we have to talk about Rip Van Winkle, right? Because it's the top thing on our minds.
Yes.
It was an incredible experience for me personally.
Great.
I think it was wonderful for the Historical Society to have the show, and you were incredible. You wrote it, you directed it, you produced it, you sourced the props. I mean, you were amazing. But personally, it was such a privilege to be part of an event like that I've never acted. I don't think I was not the best actor on the stage.
You did fine.
Well,
really.
No, but you cast the show brilliantly, and the folks who came out and played their roles, they did such a good job. And the process of seeing people from the auditions, just these cold readings, to rehearsals, and as the rehearsals started, it was tough to see how it was all going to come together. We were very wooden and really just reading lines. I mean,
and worried about remembering those lines.
Yes. And so, and then all of a sudden people started to know their lines and be more natural and inhabit the characters. And I was really impressed. I mean, the folks that were in this play were not professional actors for the most part, and they did a great job. I was inspired by them, and the whole process was so much fun. And if I ever had the chance to join in on another one of your productions, I would take it in a minute, because you were a very generous director for us. So.
Well, thank you. And who knows what's next?
Yes.
We haven't decided anything about that.
Yeah.
But yes, I really enjoy doing it because it's such a good connector. I mean, here we had the Bourne Historical Society, but we also had the library had copies of the book, which was mercifully very short. And Greg Gables Association was part of it.
Yep.
And the Bourne Community Engagement Committee was our sponsor, and along with others. And so it was really a good connector. We had lots of different organizations working with us, and lots of different sponsors, some of the businesses and whatever. And then at the last minute, the Bourne, the community, Aptucxet Community Village Association came through with a spot, because we were supposed to do this outside, and guess what? It rained. Again, it was a Saturday of rain. So we were really lucky to have it inside. And once it was done, it was like, well, of course, everything worked out. That's just what it should have been. And there was so many, if we had done this, we couldn't have done that. And so it really did work out. And I always find it interesting at the end to look at the show and say, well, now you can't recast it with anybody else. You can't mix them up.
Right.
They are who they are, and that's it. You can't take this person and say, okay, now you're this.
Right.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah. So. The cast really inhabited their roles. I mean, it is hard to imagine them being anybody else.
Right.
When I see Ed, Greg Gables Market, I'm going to want to call him Rip.
Oh,
and, I mean, Gretchen, poor Gretchen. She's a lovely, lovely person, but I'll be running away from her in various shops around town for a couple of years.
And it was also great to bring the history that most people don't know about.
Yeah.
This plug for the Historic Society. There's so much interesting history in Bourne, and it's people that lived here not that long ago.
Right.
100 years, 120 years ago, and they were live people doing interesting things that affect what we do today.
Yes.
And we found that really with this show, because of course not everyone knows, many people know that President Grover Cleveland had a summer White House, one of the first, I think, ever summer White Houses.
The first, yeah.
Right here in Grey Gables in Bourne. And at that time, Bourne was a much different place.
Bourne wasn't even Bourne.
Well,
Bourne was Sandwich.
Was it still?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when the Clevelands bought their place, it was called Tudor Haven in Sandwich, and they redid it and redubbed it Grey Gables. The whole Grey Gables neighborhood is called Grey Gables because they called the house that. and they had a 100-acre, hunting, fishing property that was all exclusive for their use, and which is now since turned into the entire neighborhood of Grey Gables, which is quite lovely. But no, and the Joseph Jefferson connection is so interesting. Joseph Jefferson, being this sort of unbelievably famous actor of his time.
Yes.
But how many of us know Joseph Jefferson today? I mean, those of us who are involved in local history know him, but it would be, as if Brad Pitt or George Clooney, would maybe in some, 100 years be forgotten. And so to be able to still celebrate Joseph Jefferson, and one of the things that was so incredible about this show, you talk about bringing things to life, sitting in the front row of the production, the first show, the 2:00 show on Sunday, was a woman whose daughter flew all the way from California just to bring her to this show, because she, as a child, her grandfather acted with Joseph Jefferson and acted in this play, Rip Van Winkle. And so she has all of these firsthand memories of her grandfather's stories and, being part of these theatrical families. And she has sent some wonderful photographs, of old playbills from, from when Rip Van Winkle was played, back in the 1800s. And it was so incredible having her there and being able to share with us, some of her sort of, I wouldn't say firsthand knowledge. She was too young to know Joseph Jefferson herself, but her grandfather, really had that firsthand experience being part of his crew. So so that was really exciting, and that really meeting her before the show, I think, gave the whole cast that extra boost. Of we have somebody esteemed in the audience who was really wanted to see this play.
Right,
so.
Really means something.
Yes,
it's just amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. And the other thing about Joe Jefferson, he would be much more well known if he had been alive 20 years later, 30 years later, because he was actually one of the first movie stars. He was in a silent movie of Rip Van Winkle. And we had even mentioned that in the show, but it was a whole new thing. Electricity was a whole new thing back then. And so had he been somebody like a Charlie Chaplin, he was a generation too soon. But we all know who Charlie Chaplin is because we can still watch his movies. But unfortunately, Joe was just a little too early for that. But yeah, he and I live on Jefferson Road, named after Joe Jefferson. So now it means much more to me than it did, before.
And even all those other all the roads in Buzzards Bay. A huge portion of Buzzards Bay, when it was marketed as get close to Joseph Jefferson, because it was such a big deal that he lived there. So a lot of the roads were named after characters in Rip Van Winkle, Van Bummel, or Brummel. Bummel. Even Wolf Road, after the dog Wolf, Rip Van Winkle itself. And then, the Bourne Historical Society, we have the Joseph Jefferson Windmill, which was originally built as an art studio to serve Joseph Jefferson on his property in Buttermilk Bay. When the property burned down, the windmill was going to be demolished, and so the Bourne Historical Society, cut it into 3 pieces, loaded it up onto a flatbed, drove it right over the Bourne Bridge, and reassembled it at the museum property in Aptucxet. So, so being inside that windmill, all this season at Aptucxet, we've been using that windmill space as an art studio. We've been inviting members of the public to come in and do their own little piece of art that are all being collectively hung together. It's an art installation that we're calling Blooming Together. And the windmill has been various things throughout the years. It was moved to the property of Aptucxet in 1976, and it served as the gift shop. It has served as a space for local painters to work and sell their paintings. There was a carousel in there for a couple of years. But this year, we do have it back to its original intention, which is to serve as an art studio. And the artists were just the visitors that came to our various events and swung by to visit the museum this season. So
there's an artist in all of us.
I know. And the act of doing art. I mean, and this is, this has been sort of a theme that started off right in the beginning of the season for us with this art project. The act of doing art, drawing, painting, singing, acting, we just did. It introduces all of these feel-good chemicals. It's a non-medical way to feel happier and to fight the blues. And So even if it's bad, you know, it's like if
Nobody
you ever
cares.
stand up and do karaoke, even if it's bad, almost especially if it's bad, you still feel good. And so it's nice to have these themes of, you know, doing art together, both the drawings and paintings happening at the windmill this summer, and the wonderful acting that we did together this fall.
It's amazing that Joe Jefferson was not only America's premier actor, but he was a masterful painter. That's pretty good for one guy.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
So
and then being
and he fished.
And he fished. and being in that space, that beautiful windmill space, part of the culture at the time was the salon culture. And you know, and there was a tie with Joe Jefferson, and the Clevelands also spent summers in Marion, and that was a very important piece.
They liked it so much they named a daughter Marion.
That's right. One of their daughters was named Marion. Yes, and you know, the sort of intellectual elites of, you know, artists, poets, Mark Twain would get together and talk philosophy and play music together and read poetry, and
it's amazing.
And it's so wonderful to have that same space, you know, still be using for some similar things.
So tell us about some of the other things happening.
So, you know, this time of year, we are starting to wind down some of our operations. We just went through a busy, wonderful season at Aptucxet. You know, the museums at Aptucxet, it's 12-acre property. It's a collection of different museum buildings, and the Trading Post Museum is the one that everybody thinks about. That's where we tell the story of the Pilgrims and the three-way trade between the English and the Dutch and the Wampanoag people. And that's the building that was built 100 years ago by the Bourne Historical Society. But we also tell the story of Joseph Jefferson, because we have the windmill. We tell the story of Grover Cleveland, because we have the Gray Gables Railroad Station that was built to serve the Clevelands during their second presidency, or during his second presidency. And so we operated that museum all summer. We just did our big closing celebration on Indigenous Peoples Weekend, where we celebrated the cranberry harvest. So we did a cranberry harvest festival celebrating not just cranberries, but all local and indigenous harvest foods, and, you know, teaching and sampling out some of those foods. And now the museum is closed. We're winding down. We have only a few more events. We've got coming up our harvest dinner, which is always very popular, and it is sold out. It is
already
so popular.
Wow,
yes.
wow.
So that's coming up, and that's a beautiful time that, you know, all of our board gets together, and we, you know, cook turkey dinner, and you know, we host just about 100 people at the Bourne United Methodist Church. But in the past, we've been able to accommodate walk-ins, but now every ticket has been sold. So we are keeping a wait list if people are still interested. We really hate to turn people away, but there is a limit to how many people can fit in that room.
You only can
cook
so many turkeys.
Yep. And then the next event after that is the final event that we do every year is our solstice celebration. Oh, actually, I almost missed Christmas in Old Bourne Village.
It's one of my favorite days of the year.
Yeah.
There is so much going on in Bourne Village. Those 2 days. It's the Friday, December 1st, Saturday, December 2nd.
And the Sunday.
Well, you have the Sunday too?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's like, you know, when you start talking about, you know, sort of, you know, connections and collaboration, this isn't one event that happens annually, and it's a collaboration. It's not something that only the Historical Society does, but it's also the Society for Historic Preservation, which is our sort of, you know, sister organization that runs the Briggs McDermott House just across the street from us, at, you know, across, you know, near us at Keene Street. The Bourne United Methodist Church participates, the library participates. Oftentimes the Katomet Schoolhouse will participate, because they'll do a craft fair that weekend. And the Aptucxet Community Center will participate with a craft fair as well. So it is sort of the kickoff to the holiday season, always on that first weekend in December. And the usual routine, or the usual schedule, which we will, you know, follow with a few tweaks, is we do a tree lighting at the library on Friday night.
I get to light the tree.
You know, lots of times we like to get the Bourne High School band or chorus there to do some music. There'll be cookies or cupcakes or some sort of a sweet treat provided by the Friends of the Library. And then the Briggs McDermott House, I mean, it's beautiful. They always decorate so beautifully. So that is a showstopper. You know, and they have the Forge open, they have the Carriage House open. The Aptucxet Garden Club will be at the Briggs McDermott House doing their green sale on Friday.
And this year, we have something in addition. We are going to have the beautiful book sale at the library. We got, guess what, rained out of our usual book sale. So we're going to do a beautiful book sale while we only have books that you would feel comfortable gifting.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that will be that night, because it's never as busy at the library as it is on that Friday night.
Oh, good. So a little Christmas shopping.
So we'll
at
do a
the
little
book
Christmas
sale.
shopping, and also on the Saturday morning we'll also be open.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another way to make up for missing out on the book sales. And we'll have a couple of different drop-off dates, but seriously, we are only accepting books that you would feel comfortable gifting to others.
So just the best, the nice covers.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Right.
Oh,
so,
good.
so we're looking forward to that as well. And then, of course, you have to go down and listen to the carolers at Historic Society and have some clam chowder.
Yep.
and-
We do the chowder at the historic, the Jonathan Bourne Historical Center, which is itself a little collaboration of organizations, because it's not just us, it's not just the Historical Society, but it's the Bourne Town Archives. And the town archivist will, in the past, she's done a champagne punch and some little snacks. And we're not quite sure what she has lined up for this year. But and then the society does the quahog chowder.
Right.
This year, the theme for us for our open house at the Historical Center is comfort and joy. And we chose that theme because we have a collection of beautiful quilts that have been donated
beautiful.
across along the years, and so those are going to be on display, and there'll be some information about the tradition of quilting, and they're setting up the display right now. It's going to look beautiful.
Great.
So, and then the Bourne United Methodist Choir comes to our place, and they do the capstone of the Christmas carols.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you think, Historic Society, boring, you'd be wrong. It's really dynamic. We have a lot of fun events that we do, and we're always looking for new people, new blood, and new ideas, and there's plenty of room for everybody.
Oh, and the best part about the Christmas in Old Bourne Village is that all these organizations are presenting all this entertainment for free.
Free, right.
So,
That's true.
there's nothing to pay. We always accept donations because we are nonprofits, and every now and then there'll be there's a cookie walk at the church that you can pay to actually get a nice, generous box of cookies. But to attend these events, there's no admission charge. So it's a nice way to get the kids out. At night, out at night walking around. But
oh no, it's one of my favorite nights of the year.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's really great fun. Now, we have another exciting thing with the Historic Society, and that is moving the Keene house.
Yes.
So where do we stand on that?
Well, so when you think about moving things, we moved the windmill in 1976. We moved the Sagamore information booth to the Aptucxet property back in the early 2000s, and so we're facing another challenge of moving, what could be the oldest house in Bourne, and that's the Keene house. And the Bourne Historical Society stepped into this project just this past spring. There have been a number of people in town. I mean, talk about collaboration. The Historic Commission worked on researching and trying to figure out what the history was in the house to sort of back up the concept that this house was worth saving. Unfortunately, as time marches on, you can't save every house. Projects move on and places get knocked down and are replaced by other buildings. But this particular house is special. I mean, it is built in the 1690s. So it is over 300 years old. And a lot of the houses that get saved and preserved and looked at and that serve sort of as museums are the sea captains' houses or the grand places. But this house is special because it's older than all of those other places, but also it's a place that is largely unchanged throughout the last almost 300 plus years. I mean, there have been some modernization. There's electricity and there's plumbing, but the plumbing just kind of is, they didn't actually knock through any walls to get the plumbing. They just have it kind of going along the ceiling. So it is possible to restore this place back to what it might have looked like in the 1690s.
Before America was America.
Exactly. So the person who currently owns it is looking to develop his property right next to the library. So we have been looking at solutions to try to move the house to another location. And it's a challenge.
Truly.
It was so much more challenging than we expected. it's much more challenging to move a house with a gorgeous 300-year-old beehive oven and centered chimney than it is to pick up an information booth,
Right, right.
and put it on a flatbed. So, and then one of the big challenges of doing any kind of construction work on Cape Cod in 2023 is that all of the contractors are booked way far in advance.
Sure.
So we have had generous contractors make time for us. We have finally gotten a very realistic plan to get the house moved to the Aptucxet property. It's not going to be easy. It's not logistically simple, but we do have a really reputable contractor who has given us a plan, given us a price. The price is within our budget. We did have $250,000 set aside from historic preservation funds designated to move this, and it looks like we will be able to accomplish the move within that budget. It's just a matter of we're going to be able to get it all done within the time,
Right.
because the property owner, may need to move on with his own projects. And
Right.
so far, I can say he's been very generous. He has given us as much access as we've needed, and he has, really given us even more time than he's legally obligated to do. So,
Okay.
So we're appreciative of him collaborating with us, but yeah, so we're trying to just kind of do the final logistics of the move to Aptucxet,
Right.
and
then it will be hopefully another museum
Yes.
that we can cherish
yes,
at
yes.
Aptucxet.
And as we contemplated, would it fit at Aptucxet? And there's a lot of different opinions as to whether it should fit there. But one way that I look at it, as if you think about the property, it's a property sort of a long property that
Yes.
starts at Aptucxet Road and goes to the Cape Cod Canal, and closest to the canal is 1620. That's where the trading post is, or 1627.
Right.
And then as you move closer to Aptucxet Road, we get into the 1800s with the Joseph Jefferson Windmill and the Grover Cleveland Railroad Station. And then there's a little bit middle of the property that's kind of
Yeah.
not representing anything. And there's also a little middle
perfect.
of our history that we don't tell.
Right.
We don't talk about Revolutionary War Bourne. We don't talk about what was happening in Bourne in 1790.
Right, and there's plenty.
And there's plenty, and
Right.
there was plenty happening inside this actual house during that time. So sometimes having a house, a building, a structure that existed during the time period that you'd like to teach about, it serves as a teaching tool to tell those stories and tell those the simple stories of those times, which were the stories of the people who lived here.
Right.
So.
Well, you mentioned the gift shop, and
Yes.
I think people should know that it is not a gift shop that is all about Aptucxet. It is local artisans and crafters, and it's really a wonderful store to pick up something for yourself or obviously as a gift. But they're not just historic artifact kind of things.
Right.
It's all sorts of wonderful artisans and crafters, and tell us sort of some of the things that are in there.
Yeah, I mean, so the gift shop operates as an artist collaborative,
Right,
an artist
right.
collective. We do have a few of the little, trinkets for, tourists, but
Sure.
but each. So the person who's managing the gift shop right now for us, Dale Baker, she's an incredible fiber artist, and she does. Well, I mean, I don't even want to put her just in that category because she does a lot of other things, but she does incredible weaving. She does those beautiful felt flowers, if you've seen those. Incredible, just like felted wool handbags and purses and little bags. She also does beautiful stained glass, and it's all
wow.
custom work that you won't see anywhere else. It's only there. We have a beautiful seamstress. Every bag that I carry is made by Judy Ostrom, who's one of our crafters as well. She makes these incredible, like reversible, cool, like shopping bag type things with 10 different pockets and plenty
Wow.
of room to carry around whatever you might need to do.
And there's jewelry and
making,
candles,
yes,
and,
yes.
and all sorts of. Really, it's much more of an artists and crafters
yeah.
haven than it is just a gift shop.
Well, and it's almost hard to list what's there, and it's one of my favorite things about going in there is that every time I go in, it's different.
There's something new.
Yeah,
Yep.
because
Yep.
there's about 10, it always runs between say 7 to 12 individual artisans that are putting their works in there, and then they all take turns volunteering to work at the shop. I mean,
Right.
we're a volunteer led organization, as you know, and so
Right.
the folks that you see at Aptucxet, for the most part, are volunteering their time. So the artisans are always bringing in new things. One of our people, this is Pam Shemalinsky. She does these incredible Zen rocks,
Yes, yes.
which is like a rock wrapping. You know, I don't even want to call it a craft. It's an art. And it's these rocks. There's something just so beautiful about them. She,
Right.
She
There's
wraps
no
them.
glue or
no,
anything.
No glue.
Yeah, it's
She
really cool.
Wraps these beautifully found rocks with these leather strapping, and then ties in some jewels or gems, or or even just the plain leather into these really unique knots. And I've
Would you
bought a few
consider
of them.
would you consider having it open for the holidays?
Well, the challenge is that it gets cold, so there's no
It does.
insulation. Yeah, no insulation in that little shed.
Okay.
We do try to push it as long as we can. We're doing a few. Our final scheduled day right now is the 29th of October,
Okay.
which is a Saturday, and then but then. Every now and then, if we look at the weather and it's going to be a nice sunny day, mid-November, we'll send out an email.
It can be 70 degrees.
Exactly.
You
yeah.
never know.
So
Yeah.
every now and then we'll say, all right, we haven't shut things down. We'll be open one more day, and we post it to our Facebook or put it on our email.
Sure.
Our email list is a great source for when we do things like that.
It would almost be good to have it open on the Christmas in Old Bourne
yes,
Village.
yep.
Because there's so many people coming around.
Coming and going. Yeah. In the past, we've done like a mobile gift shop where we take some of the artisans' work and we actually set it up as like a little mini gift shop at the
nice.
Historical Center
Oh,
on
that's a good
Friday
idea.
night. So
Yep.
we may do that again.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Now, will you be selling any quilting, or is it just raffles?
Right
or-
now, there's no plan to sell anything. Everything that
Okay.
we have is collections quality,
Okay.
and a few of them just recently donated. So things will be on display. There will be a quilt themed craft for kids.
Oh,
We
good.
always like to
Okay.
have something that kids
Yes,
can do.
yes.
Keep them entertained. And the folks that are setting up the exhibit probably have a couple of surprises for me that I don't even know about yet. So.
Well, that's great. Is there anything else you want to tell us about the Historic Society?
Oh boy, it has been a wild ride. This is my first year as president, and I just took over in March. It has been so busy and so fun. The Keene House has been an exciting project, but it has taken a lot of resources
yes.
and a lot of time to work on. And our effort to try to keep up with our usual activities like the Strawberry Festival, Wampanoag Day, keeps us busy. And then we've been trying to add new things in. The Daffodil Festival is something that,
Yes, that's wonderful.
The Daffodil Festival, that's another one of those sort of true collaborations with the support of the Bourne Community Engagement Committee. We were closed during COVID. We couldn't do anything, and we were, we're sort of feeling so frustrated that that we weren't able to be open, and we felt like we were stagnating. And through a grant from the Bourne Community Engagement Committee, we bought 5,000 daffodil bulbs, and the Aptucxet Garden Club and our own volunteers came and helped plant all of those bulbs throughout the property of Aptucxet. The next year we did another 5,000, and so now there are these 10,000 daffodil bulbs that come up year after year.
It's
and
stunning.
We do a whole spring gardening festival around it. So
right.
that'll probably be our next big thing once we get past Christmas, and then our solstice celebration, which is always
that's
we're always a
beautiful.
fun one
Yeah,
at Aptucxet. And then we look forward to getting ready for
that's
Daffodil
for April?
Festival. April. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's usually that second week in April. We're trying to hit the prime blooming time
Yep,
for the
yep,
daffodils.
yep.
Weather is always a challenge. Gosh, this year weather has been such a challenge.
But next spring, I'm sure, will be absolutely stunning.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
so-
No more rain.
Right.
Oh gosh.
So
Famous
yeah,
last
that gives
words.
us something to look forward to in the deep, dark winter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that Joya Dimmick, who's been our site manager for years, and she was the one who really spearheaded all that daffodil
Yes.
planting during the depths of COVID, when things seemed so dark and uncertain. We just kept saying to ourselves, to each other, no matter what, these daffodils are going to bloom.
They are.
And so even if we don't get a festival going, the flowers are going to come up either way. The flowers will come up year after year. And so I sort of look at my own activities at the Bourne Historical Society in that same way. I'm trying to plant things that, will continue to come up and continue to bloom and serve the community even after I'm gone. So.
You're not going anywhere for a long time, please. But we encourage everyone to join us at the Historic Society. It really is a dynamic organization. We have a lot going on, and lots more could be going on. So join us if you can. Hopefully see you at the Christmas at Old Bourne Village, which will be a lot of fun, promise. And hopefully it won't rain. But anyway, thank you so much, Mavis. It's been so much fun getting to know you and working with you on the play and everything. It was really great.
Yeah.
And keep going. All right. Thanks very much. Have a good night.